Hi everyone, welcome back to our podcast Constructive Conversations powered by Ark Group. I'm Meghna Gummi, CEO of Ark Group. Our today's guest is Mr. Gipson Paul. He's the Senior Executive Director of CBRE India and Head of Hyderabad, City Head of Hyderabad. He has over 30 plus years of experience in real estate and sales and marketing. He started his journey with CBRE in 2001 and played a vital role in the growth of the business and was a part of many key transactions of renowned clients. So, Mr. Gipson's expertise and knowledge lies in many asset classes such as commercial real estate, residential sales, industrial logistics, joint venture, and joint developments as well. So he's very well known in the Hyderabad industry. He's seen the Hyderabad real estate over the past few years, past few decades actually. And today we're very happy to have him here to discuss more about real estate in Hyderabad. Welcome. And thank you so much for being a part of our podcast.
Welcome, Meghna. I should thank you for inviting me for this wonderful event.
It's our honor. So, without any ado, let's start and dive into our today's topic, which is real estate in Hyderabad. So, before we get there, could you just please tell me something about your journey and your journey with CBRE, how CBRE was in the past few years, how it is today, and how the trends changed in Hyderabad in the past few years?
I joined CBRE in 2001. I was the first consultant to be recruited for CBRE. At the time, we were managing the cyber towers and cyber gateway, doing the property management. And that's when Hyderabad was slowly evolving as an IT destination in the country. And the real estate, of course, was booming, but it didn't evolve. Or when I say evolve, it didn't evolve on the professional front.
Yeah.
So thanks to the initiatives of the government, some of the developers who took that punt and looked at Hyderabad as a positive market, and they started. And that's when I see that professionalism started, and over the many years, the city boomed, city evolved, developers started making grade A buildings. That also attracted a lot of IT companies to come into Hyderabad.
Yeah.
And being virtue of being one of the first mover to Hyderabad in 1998 when they commissioned cyber towers, at the time they invited us to manage the property of cyber towers. That was an iconic building, first grade A building. So that's when we came, and by virtue of being the first mover, and since I was there since 2001, we have seen how Hyderabad has grown, and we also take the privilege that we are also part of the success story.
Yeah.
For us, a CBRE in Hyderabad was more like a startup which are running like that. We have just started very small. But over a period, I would say that we have evolved, we have transformed, and we have gained a lot of market knowledge.
Yeah.
That's more important for us because, as the philosophy of CBRE, right, from our CEOs or chairman and all that, is that our ultimate goal is to deliver the right results, desired results for our clients. This purely has come to us because of our experience in the market. We have seen how Hyderabad has transformed. And thanks to the market, it helped us to grow. And Hyderabad, when we started, we were hardly around 10 people. And today in our main business, we have 1,000 plus.
Oh, wow.
CBRE regional office. We also started our GCC in Hyderabad a few years back. They had 600 plus people in Hyderabad. Then we have our own KPO, I would like to say business support operations. There are 1,000 plus people and all in Hyderabad.
Wonderful.
So that's how it shows how committed we are for the city of Hyderabad, and how the city of Hyderabad also helped us in our business growth.
Absolutely, because we know 1,000 plus people just in Hyderabad is a huge strength, and I'm sure you're in a lot of different sectors also helping real estate in different forms and manners. So just a little bit more about CBRE, just to understand what kind of work or what kind of services that it provides.
CBRE, we provide strategic consulting, valuation and appraisals, advisory services, capital markets, project management. These are our primary businesses. It's all part of real estate.
Okay, wonderful. So in the past few years, not a couple of decades, how do you think the trends of Hyderabad real estate has changed? Like, what do you think was the major differences that you saw in 2000s versus today? early 2000s versus today?
See, the quality of the real estate is when the quality of the real estate, it's primarily the office buildings.
Yeah,
Then even you see the way the Hyderabad residential market has also evolved,
yeah,
the quality of construction, the amenities and all the thing. Plus developers also from initial days of I build the building and people will buy it, but that has changed drastically. The developers also realize that we need to bring in quality because
absolutely.
client
Yeah,
customers have become very conscious. They
the awareness
also,
has increased
yeah,
a lot.
awareness has
Yeah,
gone up. Thanks to social media, the information which is available, so people keep doing a lot of research.
yeah,
Similarly, for Hyderabad as a city, when the clients want to come and set up their operations, they go and look into various aspects of the city. How stable is
yeah,
the system in terms of government, the kind of initiative they take, then the infrastructure,
yeah,
and the most important vital aspect is the people, the availability of talent.
mm,
So these are certain ingredients which are helping Hyderabad to establish itself as a primary market.
yeah,
In last 24 years, what I've seen, all has learned by kind of evolving, learning, improvising. Learning from other markets,
yeah,
whether it may be other major cities, maybe Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, or learning from other major evolved or developed markets like the US, Europe,
yeah,
and Singapore to say that. So we have come a long way. The way the buildings were built, the kind of amenities they are providing now. I have seen a huge transformation in
yeah.
terms of construction. Even the way the developers manage their property, the kind of relationship they maintain with the client. Oh, I would say there's a lot of improvement.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I mean, there's more to improve, but we've come a long way. So, to the different type of like right now, which sector do you think is thriving? Like in the sense, do you think residential is doing well, or commercial is doing well, or you think there's a new emerging sector that we don't know much about, which is like upcoming and is going to be the next big thing?
See, Hyderabad office market is doing extremely good. Post pandemic, we have seen a tremendous growth
Yeah,
in terms of office absorption. And 2023, we have seen an absorption of approximately around 10.5 million square foot. Last year, that is 2024, it's gone up to 12.3 million square foot. This is
wow,
all gross absorption. See, whenever we have seen that kind of an absorption, the positive impact on the office absorption always had a positive impact on the residential
yeah,
sales. So these are the two. These are how interlinked. Of course, residential. Uh, there was a little bit of. I would not say it's a slowdown, but this is how people perceived outside who were really, just go by what's
yeah,
been said and heard. But I think what happened is we also, as a industry, as a real estate developer, also started evolving, bringing in new amenities. And moreover, the developers always, whenever they build something, by looking at the price increase, the land prices going up, the cost of
yeah,
construction going up. Of course, they also looked at how they can strategize kind of the pricing and all that. Because of the change in the political, because we have gone through three elections.
mhm,
So people were just waiting and watching, thinking that which direction the price.
yeah.
I think that's one reason people just held back their decision. But I see from now on, for the days to come, I think there will be definitely good improvement in terms of residential absorption. Coming to office absorption, we still look at Hyderabad as one of the dominant markets in India. As you see that 15% of the national supply, which is there in the grade A office, Hyderabad
Has
contribute
yeah.
15%. That itself
That's a
shows the
huge,
growth.
yeah,
And I think in the current year also 2025 also, the outlook looks great. I think
mm,
our absorption may go slightly. It's difficult to comment now, but based on our own the kind of RSPs we are working, the RFPs or other consultants are working, I think it will be a healthy absorption this year also.
do you think it's more of larger office spaces or smaller ones? Because like startups or like what kind of office spaces? Your prediction that will go.
See, the large portion of space last year has been taken by GCCs. So this year also the trend will continue. So, but the absorption typically the larger clients would take say around 500,000 square foot or million square feet,
Yeah.
something which impacts the market. Of course, for the startups, they may not consume too much of space, but some of the startups may go and take space maybe in T Hub
Yeah.
or some of the initiatives which Usmania University has taken up to kind of create some incubation space there. Or some of the little more evolved startups may look at flex office.
Yeah.
This is another business which is also growing in every city.
Yeah.
Flex, I'm sure flex office provide that kind of a flexible office space where the client don't have to commit a large capital
Yeah.
to set up their office or to give a longer lease period. So this is also helping client to kind of look at
Definitely.
yeah. The other vertical which is also growing in Hyderabad is the industrial and logistics business. This is one which is evolving and also growing. So we with the kind of inquiries we are receiving predominantly for the logistics and also on the manufacturing side, this is also going to have a positive impact on.
Yeah.
Because as you know, Hyderabad is already have the Genome Valley again, which is providing that kind of a lab space for biosciences and life sciences companies. So this is also another vertical which is impacting for the growth of Hyderabad.
Oh, that's great. So, any other big infrastructure or companies that are coming to Hyderabad that is going to impact the real estate?
If you look at Hyderabad, Meghna, predominantly the real estate of Hyderabad is, the positive side or which is impacting the growth is office space absorption.
Yeah.
And predominantly by the tech companies.
Yeah.
Of course, the other industry which is also growing is already we are an established city as a pharmaceuticals
Yeah.
are concerned, plus this life sciences. But I think little more investment or some kind of new players coming to this manufacturing side also will have a positive impact. Which again, I'm sure like any other governments, the government of Telangana is also very proactively marketing the state to attract investment. So hopefully.
Any initiatives or anything that the government is taking that's going to help the real estate industry?
So see, developers may have larger, information or more information. What kind of initiatives they're coming, especially for to kind of promote or kind of support
Yeah.
the industry. But on the infrastructure side, I'm sure people know and we all know that is the regional ring road is one initiative which government is working on that. Then the expansion of the metro corridors
Yeah.
connecting also especially the Shamshabad towards Miapur and beyond LB Nagar. I think this is something which always good for the city because the transportation is one of the most important things.
Yeah, of
The
course.
transportation infrastructure, road infrastructure is very important. Of course, residential, there's a shift from the east towards the west, while east is also predominantly doing good. But I think when people are having a good transportation, they can be flexible wherever they can live at work
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to kind of commute to the office. These are some of the things. The fourth city which they propose is, I think, is also a good initiative.
Yeah.
But we need to wait and watch and see how it
How
is
it
going
develops,
to
yeah.
develop.
So, any like forums or statutory bodies that are in place to help regulate all these real estate transactions or anything else?
See, the RERA is one thing, which is, of course,
Absolutely.
doing a great work. Predominantly, what happens is RERA is more supporting the residential buyers and all that. But in Hyderabad, there's one unique thing. I don't know whether people talk about this. There are two forums, which is HICIA,
Mm-hmm.
which works among the industry. They all collaborate, uh, kind of support each other, especially when the new entrants come. They give them a lot of insights. They also uh, debate, discuss, and then they go back to government to kind of seek some kind of support or advise government on some kind of initiatives which they need to take. So
Okay.
that is one of the good or unique thing I've seen in Hyderabad. There's another forum called Cyberabad Security Council. This is in a collaboration with the state police and the industry, the IT industry. Earlier it was only IT industry, then later they added pharma, then hospitality also, especially the hotels and all that. This is one thing which closely work with the government or so the police department to ensure the proper safety and security
Yeah.
taken care, because that's very important for people to for
Absolutely.
companies to look at, because the
Yeah.
stability, the safety of their employees and all that thing. So these are two important forums, and recently, the a group of developers also started another forum for the larger city on the safety side. So these are something which are again unique for us, collaboration among the real estate developers, collaboration
Among
among
other bodies,
occupier
yeah.
clients, and with the government. I think this is I see this as a very positive side and gives a lot of confidence
Absolutely.
for clients to coming. Also, if you look at Hyderabad, a large percent of the people who are working here, especially in the IT industry, are the people who are moved from other cities. So they also should feel safe and comfortable.
Absolutely, yeah. That's very important, right?
Yeah.
I think anyone when they move somewhere, they want to see what, of course, how the city is, but also safety and security is also plays a big role. Talking a little bit about residential real estate, we're seeing a lot of luxury developments coming up. Do you think there's a market for luxury development, or what kind of market is there for luxury and affordable? Like which has more demand?
Of course, affordable is the bigger market, and people still look at that.
Yeah.
Luxury is also doing good. I would not say as good as the affordable, but as per our report, I think there's a decent absorption of luxury units. As I mentioned to you, because of certain reasons, there was a little bit of slowdown or a wait and watch.
Yeah.
But with the kind of positivity we see in the market, I'm sure both the markets will improve. But of course, the larger pie will go for the affordable
Affordable
market.
market. So then, you think there's a scope for growth of luxury market as well? I mean, because we're seeing so many like Neopolis was auctioned, where there are all luxury developments coming up, and there might be other things also coming up in the future. So, do you think is there a because of the land prices, is there a scope for a lot of development in retail and luxury markets, or is that something that we have to be very wary of?
Recently, I'm sure you must all read in the media, one of the large developer, national developer, when they announced their project, I believe they had a
Yeah.
good sales, at least
Yeah.
a confirmation. That itself shows that there's still demand for luxury also.
Positivity. Yeah.
But to predict the future, maybe after 2 or 3 years, it may be difficult for us. But at least for 2 years, we see still there's a demand.
Got it.
See, one more thing what is happening in residential, especially, is a very interesting thing which will begin. The buying patterns of the customers are changing. As we discussed earlier, also, customers have become very smart in terms
Yeah.
of analyzing or evaluating each and every option. So these days, apart from the design, the quality of construction, and the timelines to deliver the projects, the people are also looking at the kind of amenities the
That have
developers are
been
going to.
provided. Yeah.
People also become conscious to go into some of the projects which are dense. So the buying habits of the customers are also evolving day by day.
Yeah.
So I feel most of the customers will look at while the fundamentals of the developer, how whether he manages time, the quality, and all that. So amenities are going to play a very important role in any of the residential projects. So that's one thing. In location, of course,
Yeah.
is no brainer. Location also plays very important role, especially for working people. How are they are, how close are they to office, and plus the social infrastructure which is coming in around their that location is
Yeah.
also very
Very
important,
important.
especially
Yeah.
the shopping, F&B, other amenities which impact the decision of this. So I looking at the kind of growth, and I'm sure will all have a positive impact, because Hyderabad that way is not landlocked.
Yeah.
You know,
There were
we are
plenty of land.
all across Hyderabad, people are developing. While honestly, what happens for us as a company, for some of the developers and all that, we all think West is growing, but West is growing, of course, growing exponentially, but The other markets are the north side of Hyderabad, Medchil, Kompally and beyond, and towards the east.
Yeah.
Even in Uppal, some of the developers who launch a project, they are extremely happy because they don't have to depend too much on some marketing, because people just come to know that it's a good product.
And they want it.
Yeah, yeah. Again, as I said, no, from one standalone building with 50, 100 or whatever number of apartments, people are look a lot of lung space, where they can come, commune, spend
Yeah.
some time, have some good amenities where they really don't have to go every time outside to do some kind of purchase and all that. These are all kind of impacting the sales, and I'm sure developers also watching this and all that,
Yeah.
and surely I think this going forward, there will be definitely a positive impact on residential sales.
So yeah, like we're talking about how people have become more aware about what they're buying, the amenities, the lung space that they're looking for. So you think people are in Hyderabad are more aware and more pro towards sustainability and green living, and you think that there is enough awareness about the sustainability aspect, or there should be more that's supposed to be created?
So coming into the sustainability, this is the buzzword across the
Yeah.
globe, especially with the commercial real estate. Clients are demanding this thing. Developers want to implement that because clients are asking. Even when developers are looking to the financial partners
Yeah.
to support them, even the financial partners also kind of encouraging or kind of pushing the developers to implement this. This is going to be, uh, it has to come, because it's good for
Yeah.
all of us, because it may be for a developer, occupier, or a home buyer. The awareness still have to come, because people have to little more the awareness to be created.
Yeah.
But the mature buyers, especially people are know people who read much, people who are in the corporate real estate, uh, little more matured on the real estate side. Of course, they look at sustainability. It's a vast subject actually, ESG and all that. Not only just on the real estate side, the various other aspects of ESG are forming even in the organization. Of course, going forward, this also will become one of the primary criteria for buyers to look at or occupier to look into the building.
That'll actually be very good.
Yeah.
So that is for real estate, residential real estate. So do you think even this sustainability and green spaces, etc., are also being implemented in office spaces and commercial
That's
spaces?
more on the commercial side. The residential is, I would
Comparatively
say,
lesser.
commercial office is a slightly ahead of the residential in terms of ESG.
I mean, that's very good. This is
Yeah.
so. But is there anything else that people in Hyderabad should implement or start looking at with time? Obviously, it's going to change.
No, if you ask me to change and all that thing, our infrastructure is better than most of the cities in India. But if a little bit of emphasis given on the infrastructure,
Yeah.
especially in the growing areas, evolving areas, the futuristic locations, I think that will definitely help the real estate industry, especially the road connectivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we just discussed, Hyderabad is not landlocked. We have a lot of space to grow, and a lot of people are looking at Hyderabad, like whether it is foreign investments or different cities, etc. So, what do you think the future of Hyderabad might look like? Are we going to get a lot of foreign investment? Is that going to impact real estate?
See, foreign investment coming to real estate is always a good, because that gives a little more confidence for the developers
Yeah.
to kind of go ahead and build. But uh, the foreign investors also come with a lot of they look into various aspects of the developers, how the city is evolving and all that thing. They coming is very important,
Yeah.
very good. So what happens is, whether it may be residential sales, already there's a lot of private equity or a nationalized bank invested with various other developers and working with them. It's happening in the commercial also. The interesting thing is the private equity is coming and partnering with developers, or kind of partnering with them not only to in construction and also supporting them or partnering with them to be listed on the REIT.
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have read various developers are already listed. So this kind of partnership will only have a positive impact, and that will definitely help the growth of the city in the coming years.
I agree. So, from an individual's perspective, so is there anything that individual buyer or investor should keep in mind before they purchase a piece of real estate or apartment or property, whatever that is?
The most important thing for for the customers, the buyer looks is first and foremost thing is the location.
Yeah.
Second thing they do is the developer, because the fundamentals, the commitment, the reputation of the developer is very important. And then if it is very smart investor, probably buyer, he may also go and think who is funding your project.
Yeah.
Whether it's your own internal accruals or if there's some bank or a financial institute helping your funding your project, that's one thing. Then of course people also should like the designs. Then looking at amenities and all that. Legal plays a very important role, especially to go through the entire documentation or the legal document to ensure the property has got clear title and they no more, they will not get into any kind of legal hassles or any kind of issues pertaining to the approvals and all that thing. I'm sure recently the biggest impact on the buyers or the developers was the initiative taken by government to kind of to stall or demolish some of the unauthorized construction in the restricted areas. So of course, with all these things today, if you look at Hyderabad developers, the fundamentals are very strong.
Absolutely,
I have seen a lot of developers over many years. Ultimately, end of the day, they want to sell an apartment and also gain that kind of a reputation, so that when they launch the next project, their existing customers are there. In the sense they are the people who market or speak good. There's a word of mouth kind of a promotion. So, but for the customers who are the buyer, these are some of the important aspects: the location, the quality of construction, the fundamentals of developers, designs, amenities, and much more important thing is the legal side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been with CBRE for like almost 25 years. So you've been a part of so many transactions and play a key role in all of this. So are there any one or two examples that come to memorable examples that come to your mind about one of these transactions or clients, whichever?
There are many, but I would like to say one very large transaction which we structured in CBRE Hyderabad. When I say, I don't want to say I, but the group of people, we all work together. This is about large multinational which was there in Hyderabad since long time, and they were looking for some kind of a consolidation. And it was very heartening to know, because the quality of the work which we delivered to various clients, somehow client given us that work, and we started with them by kind of relocating to one of the buildings, and this is a local developer, while they were preferring to go with a bigger developer or a national level kind of a developer. This was a local developer, so we were able to kind of convince the client to choose the developer, because of course when client looking at the building, they also look at location, they look at who the developer is, how strong is financially, then also is how fast can he construct and all that thing. So that's we somehow, to cut the long story short, we structured one of the largest deal, probably maybe one of the biggest transactions in the country at the time, a 2.8 million square foot built to suit.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
So that's something which I feel is memorable and one of the best transactions we could do.
So we spoke about residential real estate and office space. We also see that a lot of F&B and all is doing very well in Hyderabad. But do you think retail, we see that retail is not, please correct me if I'm wrong, but retail is not doing that well. You think there's an improvement that will happen in retail, or is the whole world moving towards online?
No, while people are purchasing online, I think brick and mortar stores are doing extremely good.
Yeah,
Malls, of course, the kind of footfalls, the kind of sale the retailers are doing extremely good. But the F&B part, what you touched upon, is evolving. I am sure you must have seen some of the projects in Hyderabad.
yeah,
Some of the commercial IT offices, commercial buildings that's come up with the component of F&B,
yeah,
and they're doing extremely well. And today, as I mentioned to you, we are all evolving, we are learning. Especially post pandemic, a lot
yeah,
of changes happened.
yeah,
So every time now we look at F&B, a lot of developers who are coming with the new projects are kind of creating some kind of amenities and the buildings which are predominantly F&B, and F&B is doing extremely good. And coming to retail, Meghna, retail is one aspect. Like any other business, of course, developer plays an important role. See what happens, retail space, especially malls. Malls, once we launch today, if you launch the mall, the kind of what I say, the retailers or the kind of the segment which comes in may be relevant to the current market
yeah,
situation. After a few years, the trend will change.
yeah,
So, as a mall, we cannot go with the same philosophy what was there previous year, a few years back. We need to change it. That is what we call it a
absolutely.
churning in our business. So, kind of relocating the store from one place to other and bringing much attractive brand to attract more footfalls, or kind of downsizing the store to bring in other retailer
Yeah,
and all these things. See what happens is, in the retail business, the developers, if you have full control on the entire mall, the only way they can control is kind of retaining the entire mall instead of doing a strata sale.
yeah,
So then what happens is, it's easy for him to churn, that is, kind of relocate one retailer to other location and bring in new. It's easy for him to do that. That's one thing. And plus, what I have realized is that retail business developers, a lot of developers use consultant like us to study the latest trends and kind of advise them how to kind of
go ahead with it. Yeah,
churn the mall, or kind of bring in new brands, or kind of work on other amenities or something which we can bring into the mall. So for that reason, the involvement of developer, unlike, I'm not saying that they have to discount their involvement in commercial office or a residential, but the retail, their involvement is more, because retail, we need to bring in a lot of footfalls.
yeah,
So doing some events and all that thing. Earlier cinemas used to play a very important role in kind of pulling the crowd into
yeah,
the
to the
mall.
mall. Yeah,
But with the evolving of the Netflixes, the various other aspects, the cinema, at what they used to do business one time, or attracting footfall into this, not the same today.
yeah,
So there's a lot of things which are changing, and of course it's always evolving. It changes, but how quickly the developer adapts and kind of bring in the new trends is very important. So in terms of the demand, yes, there's a retail space demand. There are areas which are growing, evolving, whether it's on the western side or the eastern side. The most important thing is, what is the size which we need to put in.
yeah,
If you are, for example, I say there's a location, there's a 200,000 square foot shopping mall there, and someone else comes and put, say, anything above 500,000, or we come with a million square foot mall, which is more attractive than the smaller ones. So what happens is, the brands will prefer to be in the
good.
larger
Yeah,
things, and the the smaller malls may not be relevant unless it is more built like a neighborhood mall.
yeah, got it. Yeah. So, when changing trends, we've seen that Hyderabad doesn't have one BHKs. Like we don't see one bedroom apartments much, but you see it in Bangalore or Chennai, Bombay. Do you think that's a market that is going to ever come into Hyderabad, or is the trend going to change where people will prefer one BHKs?
See, I still not seen many people asking for one BHK, and developers are not showing very They're not very interested in kind
Yeah.
of a creating. In the days to come, probably things may change because what we call the Gen Z or the meaning,
Yeah.
their thought process or the way they look at their accommodation is changing. But in the days to come, probably yes. But maybe it may be very difficult to say today. If you ask me very clearly, if you ask me there's a 1 BHK demand, I would say very limited.
Yeah. But are we going to see it in maybe 4 or 5 years, hopefully? Yeah.
Yeah, should be.
Because so many trends are changing. People are want, like, even I've heard somewhere that the age for buying a apartment or a house is lowered by a lot compared to a few years ago. So now we are seeing that the younger generation is the one who's actually purchasing or making these decisions. Like you mentioned earlier, like the amenities or the location or the infrastructure around the space is what's more important.
Correct.
And because of that, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen. And then that's when we use advices from expertise like you to understand what is it that we can predict or understand about the market.
Newgen is very flexible. They're very flexible. They're more confident. They're they take some quick decisions.
Yeah.
So probably because there's flexibility, I don't know how to say, but co-living is something for a they are also helping people kind of to take accommodations for a shorter period
Yeah.
or something. It all depends upon how the new generation may look at whether to really want to buy a home or to still keep flexible to move out to one city to other city, depending on their jobs and various other reasons.
So, in what about technology in this industry? Like, how is that evolving and how is that being utilized in the real estate market?
So technology is bringing in a lot of efficiencies into the business. A lot of developers want to adapt technology. In fact, as I mentioned to earlier, we have our own digital and technology of CBRE in Hyderabad. We are working on various other technology platforms, first to implement and also to how we can bring in efficiencies, how quickly we can turn around and service our clients. That's one thing. But AI is something, again, on the technology side, the buzzword is impacting every business and also individually
Yeah.
each one of us. But this technology is definitely going to bring in a lot of efficiencies to analyze things. Today speed is something which is important. How
Yeah.
quickly you will analyze, how quickly you want to implement certain things. I think technology is helping, especially on the PropTech.
Yeah.
A lot of work is happening, whether it is maybe reviewing the documents, working on various other, maybe calculating the numbers, and also monitoring. Especially if you look at some of the, I'm sure you may be also looking or implementing some of the things where the clients who could not travel to Hyderabad or to travel the city, especially the NRIs,
Yeah.
if they want to inspect a property, so you can create everything and they can visualize how their house may look at and all.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is something which is helping people because if they have to come travel to see the house or kind of decide on that, probably half the decision they make or more than half the decision they can make it using this kind of a technology. Like this, there are various other areas which technology is going to implement. I think this is only going to help the industry to become a little more efficient and also become a little more robust.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, what about tier 3 and tier 4 cities? Like, in the sense, do you think there's a market for that? Because real estate is growing everywhere across the state in different parts. So, is there any scope for growth in these tier 3, tier 4?
Meghna, already you must have heard that Warangal is evolving as a other alternate. It's not become an alternate for Hyderabad, but at least the company has some option to move. Probably Warangal is one. There's Nizamba, there's a Karimnagar, which is there in Telangana. Then towards north of Telangana, they are thinking of doing something in Mumbai. The government's already come up with some kind of IT parks there where people can go. The other bigger cities in around Hyderabad, we have Vijayawada and Vizag, which are also evolving. So it purely again depends on our on the organization interest, the company's interest to go and set up if they have a talent,
Yeah.
or the large pool of people are working or coming from that region. So there are places. In fact, we also keep getting some of the inquiries. Already, some people have already established their centers there, not in a big way, but yes, there's a scope for these cities to grow, and for that, again, the industry. When I say industry, maybe the developers, the occupiers, with the help of government, can always go and kind of promote these cities and create some quality spaces for clients to have their operations. And also, by doing this, what happens is other growth of a city, especially there will be a residential boom, the F&B, the retail also will
Yeah.
start improving. But the lot of things which we need to do, and still have to I would say, take off in terms of growth in the cities. But we as CBRE, we see there's a lot of potential and requirements coming from tier 2 cities.
So, I know it's very hard to predict what real estate is going to look like in 5-10 years because so much changing trends. But what is the prediction is that what you can make? How do you think Hyderabad is going to look in 5 years to 10 years time?
See, the way we have seen past 24 years, Hyderabad has seen number of cycles up and down and all that thing. But again, thanks to progressive governments, we have the infrastructure improvement, especially on the people front, to attract talent.
Yeah.
We have academia, the atmosphere of Hyderabad, especially the safety aspects. With all this, I only see the city will grow. And when I say the city grows, it grows in terms of commercial office, it may be retail, industrial, residential, of course. 5 years for me may be very long, but at least for next 2-3 years, we still see a positive side for the Hyderabad real estate market.
Because there's a lot happening globally. Whether we see how the tariffs that Trump is putting on the rest of the world, or there's so many things like in terms of politically happening across the world. And do you think this will have any sort of impact on the real estate of India, Hyderabad, and different cities?
It may be too early for us to kind of comment anything on this, how it's going to impact. But one thing on the outsourcing side, what I can say, especially to India, the technology or the US companies, the European companies outsource it to India for the work. Because, we are not very inferior to kind of the quality of buildings or,
Yeah.
the real estate side. The talent is always here. And plus, when the companies are saving on the costs, even there's a little bit of tax impact on them, as long as they're getting the benefit of getting, the right product,
Yeah.
Development with the right talent, I don't think it will have a major impact on the officers, especially for India.
I mean that's a good thing because there's a lot of a lot of things going on in people's mind, whether is it going to be a recession, is it going to change something, and that brings a lot of doubts in people's mind. So it's very positive to know that it's not going to impact much.
We have seen so many reasons.
Yeah.
We have seen that economic turmoil, we have seen the COVID thing, many things happen. It's not a new thing for us to kind of to see that kind of changes across the globe, maybe Europe and the US. Whatever happens, I think the way, I am not an economist to say much about the Indian economy, with the way we are structured, the way we are growing across every city,
Yeah.
everywhere, our own self-sustaining of India, the availability of so much of talent pool, especially the English-speaking talent. I think we can still take that kind of shocks and still sustain, unless
Yeah.
severe impact on economy or a political scenario, which is very difficult for us to comment. But either these are certain things. I think it may be for a temporary period, but going forward, I think it is good for us. We'll still grow. That's what the industry leaders also keep commenting, whether economists,
Yeah.
business, the seniors or the leadership in the real estate industry, they all are bullish about India,
Yeah.
and I am very bullish about Hyderabad.
So, any advice for developers or buyers in Hyderabad?
The buyers are already shared, but the developers, I think the market is evolving. There are new trends coming, especially
Yeah.
on the technology side. The buying habits of the customers are changing. The commercial office is evolving. They're looking
Yeah.
at a lot of changes, especially bringing amenities, sustainability, and all these things. And keeping all this in mind, it's always good for them to be keep themselves updated about the emerging trends and try implement them and continue to be
Yeah.
very strong on your fundamentals.
Yeah.
Keeping
That's very
the
important.
customer centric
Yeah.
interests. I think I don't want to say much about Hyderabad because I work with all the residential, commercial, and various other developers. I came across, of course, everyone is here to make money, but I think there's some things which they don't want to compromise on fundamentals.
Yeah.
There may be few percentage of people which they will not impact much, but I think the fundamentals of Hyderabad developers are very strong.
I agree. So, any advice for youngsters who want to get into real estate or CBRE or are looking for a career path in this?
See, real estate, when I joined real estate, people perception about real estate was totally different today, but real estate is giving, there's so much of scope to grow in real estate.
Yeah.
I don't know how people may react. This is one industry which is highly paid, uh, and it's evolving.
Yeah.
There are a lot of verticals which are coming. So for the youngsters, it's very easy to kind of get into any of this or organizations like us, the developers, or even in the technology side where real estate companies building in real estate. One thing I would always suggest for the youngsters is always kind of, there are a lot of courses which they can do.
Yeah.
It may be a financial modeling, it may be on the tech side. First, as long as, once you choose which direction you want to go, there's a lot of places with organization which can give them opportunities.
Yeah.
They can work for 2-3 years and see which is more interesting for them, and then probably they can go back and take up new courses to upgrade themselves, to watch for the new trends which is happening in the market, and still kind of learn that kind of skills. And today, I think real estate evolving. I think when I joined, to be very honest, it was more male-dominated market. But today, look at the kind of diversity in real estate.
Yeah.
Even my own organization, there are so many women folk who work with us. So things have changed. It's going to change, I think. But I still feel real estate is one vertical business. There's a lot of prospects. I motivate youngsters to come, smart, talented youngsters to take up real estate as long as they're interested. But one underlying factor is that, again, you should have that strong commitment, which is more customer centric.
Yeah.
What kind of value adds you can give the organization? To put all this into perspective, I think how they want to kind of upgrade themselves, acquire new skills, and then grow in the industry.
Yeah, that's important. And what any suggestion for people who are waiting and watching what to do and when to invest?
So I see, honestly, I say this: there's never a right time or a wrong time. But my only thing is, don't wait for too long. Where waiting, you may have to take a decision when the market is
Yeah.
upswing. But I think you should always keep watching, reading. There's so much of data available on the thing, and I think you should know when to kind of invest.
Yeah.
But for the home buyers, I don't think it's, as long as you are affordable, if you can afford to buy, and if there's a need,
Yeah.
it's good to buy, because I have seen a lot of people waiting. The prices may come down, especially when things change, the global market, the change in the government, something, people think the prices may fall. How much they fall? Maybe a few, maybe 150, 200.
Exactly. Yeah.
And plus, sometimes developers also come with some attractive offers. This is the time where they can quickly decide and buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's never a right time. It's always a right time for home buyers to buy a property if they require to do so. Any other suggestions or any other points about real estate that stand out to you?
As I mentioned, we have come up a long way.
Yeah,
The professionalism in the real estate is improving.
absolutely.
Things are becoming very transparent. That is good for the industry. And going forward with all the changes coming, I think we'll still evolve, grow, and always look at a positive side on the real estate. People may have different perceptions when they
Yeah,
come real estate, but with this kind of a professionalism coming, uh, becoming, process becoming very transparent, tech coming to that.
yeah.
So I see, as long as we learn, adapt, implement, and grow, I think the sky is the limit.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us on our podcast. I think we've learned a lot from you, and it's really been our honor to have you on our podcast.
Thank you so much, Meghna, for inviting. Hope the session will be useful for the viewers.
I'm sure it's going to be.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thank you so much.